Good afternoon from Yami BTV. Wishing you all well, sending loads of love your way on a rain-soaked day coming from down here. Before I go on the move today to go and see a prospective interviewee, right? Fresh from another gassed up live last night. Sorry if some of the old Yami appears sometimes. I think I'm going to have that bit in me for the rest of my life. But as time goes on, I notice certain behaviours and talk will start to deteriorate or get lesser and lesser as time goes on. But after all, most of you like it, going this way and that way and into deeper subjects, into the mad subjects, into the debates, that kind of stuff. But altogether, brilliant atmosphere once again last night. Very respectful by you all. Now, the subjects, I was supposed to do this a long time ago, but in recent times, we know Uncle Yami's head's coming back, right? But I haven't told you about my early days and the tribes, tribulations and the wars and the things I saw from who? Uncle Terry Ellis. Now, Terry Ellis, I first set eyes on him when I was about 16, right, going into 17. So that would have been, I think, a bit of Latchmere into Ashford. Now, Terry was a big bloke for his young age. The best way to describe Terry Ellis in the early days is like Ray Winston on SCUM. 100%, right? Those that know. I went to Ashford. I could barely see over the hot plate counter at that time, right? Terry Ellis was already there, right? He was already established. He was mature beyond his years for a man of that age involved in criminality, which can only mean he must have had older people not teaching him the right way from a very young age. Like I said, very physical at that time, Terry Ellis as well, right? But a couple of things I remembered yesterday, because, you know, we was doing a campaign thing down on Sunday, and Terry Ellis and Razor Smith will come on my show at some stage as well, and they'll be talking stuff that they haven't spoke about on other channels, which is where we get the bonus on Yami BTV, as you've noticed. But there was a geezer in Ashford called Trevor Kettle. He was doing 4 or 5 years. He got 4 or 5 years. He was on remand. Them days we was all on remand. I think Terry Ellis was waiting for the Old Bailey for his case for robbing post offices, where someone used to go there to the hatch with a parcel, if I remember rightly. And then when it opened, Big Tell used to come in there with a big shotgun or something like that, right? So we know he was an armed robber back in the day. But there was a rapist called Trevor Kettle, right, in Ashford. And it does seem to rule over the years, I'm afraid to say, that some rapists, and there's no doubt that they were, so there's not like debates on whether it was debatable whether the lady said yes or no. These are actually jump on rapists, like where they don't know the victim and they just spring out from anywhere and sadly violate a girl at that time. Now, Trevor Kettle was in there and he had a big crowd around him, and it was very difficult for people to try and get him, right? Because, you know, the old days, the old school wouldn't have people like that around them. Now, Terry Ellis was after him, but like I said, there were blocks in certain places around at that time with the Randy brothers, Randy Murray, I think his surname was Murray, the Murray brothers, David Leary as well, and Harry Smith. They were all in for armed robbery at that time. I think they were doing building societies. You remember, I just got nicked for a few burglaries, ended up at St Albans Crown Court and got detained at a young age. But in the end, Terry Ellis and a couple of others, or Terry Ellis got a couple of other geezers to fill up a hot black rubbish bin of hot water. So when Trevor Kettle, because in the old days, remember, there's no sanitary things in the cells, so you have to go to the recess with your bowl. And when this rapist Trevor Kettle got to the recess, right, you know, in the mornings they were washing their face with the flannels and all that kind of stuff, 2 geezers put a towel over his head and Terry came in with them. After they put the towel on, Terry lifted him up and tipped him upside down and tipped him into the hot water, right? Imagine I remembered that the other day. And then there was another thing as well. When Terry Ellis, when I saw him in Aylesbury, right, I'll always remember this because I was such a little boy in Ashford. By the time I got to Aylesbury and started to get badder, right, I think Terry Ellis was on A wing, I was on B wing, and then C wing was that way. Them days it was sealed off a bit, so you couldn't really run onto the other landings from the other side, and then it changed a little bit. There was a fight with a geezer. I think we spoke about it before. Parker, ginger hair, and in a fight with two big brothers. They were massive, mate. And Terry Ellis got into a fight with the big one by the pool table, and it was like mixy uppy, like it was swinging this way and swinging that way. But Terry was holding his own, right? And that's when Parker got the big, it's either a sauce bottle or thing, and strike both of the brothers down their face. And I never saw what happened to Parker again, you know. He just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I think Terry ended up 9 months down the block as well. And the other one I remember in the workshop as well, there was a geezer. Imagine this. You know, in Aylesbury, them times, those that remember, Razor will tell you as well, on F&G wing, you get Her Majesty's Pleasure because you're under 21 when you get a life sentence. And some of the most baddest, evilest kids that you've ever seen, right? Because Nicholas Minaj was there. But I never really booked Nicholas Minaj. You've got to always remember this, you know, for us, he went a bit, he was traumatised a lot, Nicholas, with his, but Nicholas Minaj wasn't a sex offender or anything like that. Nicholas Minaj just, you know, it was violence on the spot. So, you know, we can never put Nicholas Minaj's name in that kind of thing, if you get what I mean. Now, that there was a geezer there. There was a case where a boy who got a life sentence, right, at that age, cut off a lady's breast and sewed it into a pouch. How about that? Yeah, I got a life sentence, got some big sentence for it. Terry Ellis saw him in the workshop when we was coming back from work and kicks him down the stairs. And then the thing happened with Parker, so I never got to see Terry again. I don't even know if it was then he went to Grendon or whatever, or he went out. Because I've never seen Terry again until the other day. So, of course, my memory's doing flashbacks because Matt Legg thought he was introducing me to Terry Ellis. But hold on, Matt. I was with Terry Ellis when it all stopped, when the game first started. Right. So Terry, I think he ended up down the block. He'll tell you when he comes on my show. He's got some bombs to let off. Like I said to you, he hasn't let them off. He hasn't let them off on other shows yet. As well, of course, the transition, you know, the change and realising about that life and what a shit life we all get to understand where we're coming from on that score as well. I might be up in a little while with another story from Boxer John.